Yes, first of all, I'm very pleased that the president has reversed his decision announced last night and has now said that he will resume negotiations. I've been in touch with his chief negotiator, the Secretary of the Treasury, and I've also been talking with my colleagues in the Senate. And this morning, I had a very useful meeting with the No Labels group, and that is Democrats and Republicans from the House and the Senate. We spent about an hour talking about how we could jumpstart the negotiations, and that is what needs to be done. My top priority between now and the election is to have another coronavirus package. I think that the health consequences and the economic devastation still exist and are still evident. I was just in a store when a woman came up to me and said that she'd lost her job as a result of the pandemic for the first time in her life. She's 52 years old and she needs additional help. So I see as elements of this package being another round of the Paycheck Protection Program, which I was the lead author of, that provides forgivable loans to small businesses so that they can keep paying their employees. And we would put a revenue test so that it went to the hardest hit businesses, like many of our restaurants who lost the first part of the summer. We need to have aid for our schools. I've visited schools from Hollis to Holton and talked to many superintendents who've told me that they're spending literally hundreds of thousands of dollars to renovate their schools so that they can be safely opened. And we need more funding for childcare. Many parents are under a great deal of stress trying to educate their children, partially at home, partially at school, and work full time, whether from home or back at the office. So I think that's an important part. We need more funding for testing. Testing is absolutely key, and I'm proud that we have Abbott Labs in our state, which has worked really hard to develop faster tests. We also need to provide an emergency appropriation for the Postal Service to ensure that it can continue to function. The bus lines and the airlines are laying off literally tens of thousands of people. I sat next to an American Airlines pilot recently who was telling me how hard it was going to be on him and his fiance, both of whom are employed by the airlines. So there's a lot of work for us to do. I also want to see aid go directly to towns and cities. Last time the funding went to states, and Maine received $1.25 billion, but not much of that made its way to towns and cities. And the last thing I want to see is to have our cities and towns be forced to lay off police officers and firefighters and other first responders and sanitation crews and public works employees. Not only would that add to unemployment and be a tragedy for those families, but it would disrupt essential services. So I think it's really important that this time we make sure that the aid goes directly to towns and cities and counties. It did not last time.